In our previous episode, we have seen ancient Greece develop from tribes of pre-literal peoples to becoming the first democratic civilization, as well as the struggles within and without along the way, culminating in some of the most well-known battles in history, including the final expulsion of the Persians and the agreement on a formal peace treaty, which unfortunately was not to last. And it is from here that we continue our story. The 446 BCE peace treaty with Sparta is a great achievement, but not a lasting one. The Great Peloponnesian War begins in 431 BCE, with Sparta again seeking primacy among the Greek city-states. After much upheaval and many reversals of fortune, Athens surrenders to Sparta in 404 BCE. Despite calls from other city-states to completely destroy the city and enslave its inhabitants, Sparta chooses to spare Athens in recognition of its long history of service to its fellow city-states and against their common enemies, including Persia. Subjugated by Sparta, Athens nevertheless remains a center for education, literature, drama, science, philosophy, and many other paths of education and discovery. This is the era of the great philosophers and their academies, truly the golden age of Athens. Also in the 4th century BCE, another city-state, Macedon, gives birth to Alexander, son of Philip II, whose conquests lift him to legendary status as Alexander the Great. Alexander's tie to Macedon makes it the most powerful city-state in Greece, above both Athens and Sparta by 338 BCE. Where Philip II was instrumental in uniting the Greek city-states, sometimes by force, thereby planting the seeds of a national consciousness, it is Alexander who projects Greek power and culture throughout the Mediterranean and Near East, establishing Greece's international influence in a period that took its name, the Hellenistic Age, from Elias, the archaic word for Greece. Following his father, who took Macedon to war against Persia, Alexander puts an inglorious end to the Persian Empire by destroying the great palace of Xerxes at Persepolis around 330 BCE. The Hellenistic Age lasted from 323 BC, when Alexander died at the height of his power and influence, to approximately 30 BCE, when the Roman conquest of the Hellenistic lands was complete. With the rise of Macedon, Athens loses much of its power. However, it remains enormously influential as a center of Greek culture during the Hellenistic Age. The Hellenistic period lasted from the end of the wars of Alexander the Great to the annexation of Greece by the Roman Republic in 146 BC. Although the establishment of Roman rule did not break the continuity of the Hellenistic society and culture, which remained essentially unchanged until the advent of Christianity, it did mark the end of Greek political independence. After the death of Alexander, his empire was, after quite some conflict, divided among his generals, resulting in the Ptolemaic kingdom, the Seleucid Empire, and the Antigonid dynasty. In the intervening period, the cities of Greece were able to wrest back some of their freedom, although still nominally subject to Macedon. During the Hellenistic period, the importance of Greece proper, the territory of modern Greece within the Greek-speaking world, declined sharply. The great capitals of Hellenistic culture were Alexandria in the Ptolemaic kingdom and Antioch in the Seleucid Empire. The conquests of Alexander had numerous consequences for the Greek city-states. It greatly widened the horizons of the Greeks and led to a steady immigration of the young and ambitious to the new Greek empires in the east. Many Greeks migrated to Alexandria, Antioch, and the many other new Hellenistic cities founded in Alexander's wake, as far away as present-day Afghanistan and Pakistan, where the Greco-Bactrian kingdom and the Indo-Greek kingdom survived until the end of the 1st century BC. The city-states within Greece formed themselves into 2 leagues, the Achaean League, including Thebes, Corinth, and Argos, and the Aetolian League, including Sparta and Athens. For much of the period until the Roman conquest, these leagues were at war, often participating in the conflicts between the Diadochi, the successor states to Alexander's empire. The Antigonid kingdom became involved in a war with the Roman Republic in the late 3rd century. Although the First Macedonian War was inconclusive, the Romans, in typical fashion, continued to fight Macedon until it was completely absorbed into the Roman Republic by 149 BC. In the east, the unwieldy Seleucid Empire gradually disintegrated, although a rump survived until 64 BC, whilst the Ptolemaic kingdom continued in Egypt until 30 BC, when it too was conquered by the Romans. The Aetolian League grew wary of Roman involvement in Greece, and sided with the Seleucids in the Roman-Seleucid War. When the Romans were victorious, the League was effectively absorbed into the Republic. Although the Achaean League outlasted both the Aetolian League and Macedon, it was also soon defeated and absorbed by the Romans in 146 BC, bringing Greek independence to an end. Meanwhile, to the west, Rome begins to expand in what is now the Italian peninsula and Sicily. By 260 BCE, Rome is ready to take to the high seas in pursuit of adventure and conquest. The Greeks hardly have the spirit to maintain their defense. Over time, Rome conquers Macedon and the other Greek city-states and finally goes so far as to decree that all of Greece is free as long as it stays under Roman protection. The Greek peninsula came under Roman rule during the 146 BC conquest of Greece after the Battle of Corinth. Macedonia became a Roman province, while southern Greece came under the surveillance of Macedonia's prefect. However, some Greek cities managed to maintain a partial independence and avoided taxation. The Aegean Islands were added to its territory in 133 BC. Athens and other Greek cities revolted in 88 BC, and the peninsula was crushed by the Roman general Sulla. The Roman civil wars devastated the land even further, until Augustus organized the peninsula as the province of Achaea in 27 BC. Greece was a key eastern province of the Roman Empire, as the Roman culture had long been, in fact, Greco-Roman. The Greek language serves as the lingua franca in the East and in Italy, and many Greek intellectuals, such as Galen, would perform most of their work in Rome. Greece, and especially Athens, had an enormous effect on the evolution of Western culture. To a remarkable degree, Athenian democracy formed the basis of the United States Democratic Republic. Much of our tradition of liberal education came from studying the ancient Greek historians, philosophers, and natural scientists. And the study of the wars and rivalries of the time has influenced millennia of military strategists. Ancient Greek culture was honored even by Roman conquerors. The foundations of Western civilization are built upon the golden age of Athens, and we continue to reap its rewards today. The ancient Greeks left the world such an impressive legacy of ideas that many of them were seen for centuries in the civilizations that followed. Even today, cultures around the world continue to display many of the quintessential features of life in ancient Greece. These include such lasting ideas as democracy, the architectural orders, the Olympic Games, the Hippocratic Oath, drama, and the Pythagoras theorem, as well as such familiar structures as the theater and stadium, and the lasting influence of the Greeks' great contribution to world literature, Homer's Iliad. Sporting competitions had already been seen in the Minoan and Mycenaean civilizations of the Bronze Age Aegean region, but it was in ancient Greece that a sporting event would be born that would become so popular and so important that it even became a reference for the calendar. The first Olympic Games were held in mid-July in 776 BCE at Olympia in honor of the Greek god Zeus. Every 4 years thereafter, athletes and spectators gathered from across the Greek world to perform great sporting deeds and win favor with the gods. The last ancient Olympics would be in 393 CE, after an incredible run of 293 consecutive Olympiads. The ancient Greeks are often credited with building the foundations upon which all Western cultures are built, and this impressive accolade stems from their innovative contributions to a wide range of human activities, from sports to medicine, architecture, and democracy. Like any other culture before or since, the Greeks learnt from the past, adapted good ideas they came across, and developed their own new ideas. Here are just some of the ways ancient Greeks' inventions have uniquely contributed to world culture, many of which are still going strong today. Greek architects provided some of the finest and most distinctive buildings in the entire ancient world, and some of their structures, such as temples, theaters, and stadia, would become staple features of towns and cities from antiquity onwards. In addition, the Greek concern for simplicity, proportion, perspective, and harmony in their buildings would go on to greatly influence architects in the Roman world and provide the foundation for the classic architectural orders which would dominate the Western world from the Renaissance to the present day. The 5 orders of classical architecture are Doric, Iconic, Corinthian, Tuscan, and Composite, all named as such in later Roman times. Greek architects created the first 3 and hugely influenced the latter 2, which were composites rather than genuine innovations. Athens in the 5th to 4th century BCE had an extraordinary system of government, democracy. Under this system, all male citizens had equal political rights, freedom of speech, and the opportunity to participate directly in the political arena. Further, not only did citizens participate in a direct democracy whereby they themselves made the decisions by which they lived, but they also actively served in the institutions that governed them, and so they directly controlled all parts of the political process. Modern democracies and political processes still function in much the same way today. The mathematicians of ancient Greece made a hugely significant contribution to world thought and all practical subjects which depend on that intellectual basis, from geometry to engineering, astronomy to design. Influenced initially by the Egyptians, Greek mathematicians would push on to make breakthroughs such as Pythagoras' theories of right-angled triangles and, by focusing on the abstract, bringing clarity and precision to age-old mathematical problems. Their solutions provided the fundamental mathematical building blocks that all future mathematicians and scientists would build upon, right up to the present day. During the Hellenistic period, Greek astronomy flourished after Alexander the Great conquered the East. The astronomical knowledge of Babylonian and Chaldean culture became available to the Greeks, who profited by exploiting it systematically. This led to the advance of many Greek mathematical tools, such as the use of a numeral system with 60 as its base, which allowed the Greeks to divide circles into 360 degrees. The use of 60 as a base of mathematical system is not a minor issue. 60 is a number that has many divisors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 12, 15, 20, 30, and 60, which makes it easier to deal with calculations involving fractions. Hippocrates was born on the Greek isle of Kos in the 5th century BCE, and he became the most famous physician in antiquity. He established a medical school on the island, wrote many treatises on medical matters, and is, through his systematic and empirical investigation of diseases and remedies, credited with being the founder of modern medicine. The list of legacies left by this great civilization is far too lengthy to present here, but it is important to remember the conflicts and struggles this civilization had to endure through the pain of progress.